All right, buckle up everyone, because today we're diving headfirst into island life, Boracay style.
That's right. We're talking about more than just a vacation. We're going to figure out what it takes to actually pack up and move to this little slice of paradise.
Sounds amazing. But before we get ahead of ourselves, where is a field who were even IS Boracay, for those of us who haven't been lucky enough to visit yet?
Well, picture this. You're in the Philippines, about 200 miles south of Manila, in a region called the Visayas.
Oh, okay, so we're talking island life. Got it. But how do you even get there? Is it one of those super exclusive, hard-to-reach places?
Not at all. You'd fly into either Calibo or Caticlan in airports.
Ah, so there are options.
Exactly. And then from there, it's just a quick ferry ride over to Boracay.
Okay, so not too hard to reach. That's good to know. Now, I know everyone's heard of Boracay's famous White Beach, but is that all there is to see?
Oh, not even close. Boracay's got this amazing variety of beaches. So, like, if you're looking for peace and quiet, Puga Beach is the spot, white sand, calm waters, you name it.
Sounds dreamy.
It is. But then you've got Iligan Beach, which is all about the scenery, dramatic rock formations, turquoise water. It's just breathtaking.
So we've got chill vibes and we've got dramatic views. What else?
And if you really want to get away from it all, Tamasan Beach has these secluded coves that feel like your own private paradise.
A beach for every mood. I love it.
Yeah.
But once you're actually on the island, how do you get around? Are we talking cars, taxis?
Nope. Cars are pretty much non-existent on Boracay. It's all about keeping that laid-back island vibe.
So how do you people get from point A to point B?
The main way is by tricycle.
Tricycle. Like a kid's bike.
Haha, not exactly. Picture a motorcycle with a sidecar attached. Perfect for zipping around those narrow island streets.
That sounds like an adventure in itself. And if you're not in a hurry,
Walking is always a great option, too. You really get to soak in the island's energy that way.
I can imagine. Speaking of energy, let's talk about the cost of living. Is Boracay a luxury getaway, or can regular people actually afford to live there?
It's actually pretty great news. Boracay has options for almost every budget. You'll find everything from simple guest houses to those fancy resorts like Shangri-La and Discovery Shores.
Ooh, fancy. But what about everyday costs? Food, groceries, all that.
Get this, you can find some amazing deals at the local markets. Fresh produce, seafood, all at prices that'll make your wallet happy.
So you're saying I can trade in my overpriced city groceries for fresh island food? Sounds tempting.
Right, and eating out doesn't have to break the bank either.
Okay, give me an example. How much would a nice seafood dinner cost, say, for two people right on the beach?
Well, I'm talking a mouth-watering, fresh-caught seafood dinner for two, right on the sand, for about $20.
Wow, that's less than takeout in my city.
Exactly. And for a taste of something sweet, you can't miss Halo Halo.
Oh, halo, what's that?
Oh, it's this amazing Filipino dessert with shaved ice, beans, fruit, leche flan. It's a must-try.
And how much does that kind of deliciousness set you back?
Just a couple dollars.
All right, so the food situation is looking pretty good. Now, one thing I've always wondered about Boracay is, yeah, it's this amazing tourist spot, but if you live there, how do you escape the crowds? Is there even an authentic side to the island?
Absolutely. You just have to know where to look. Like, have you ever thought about hiking up Mount Luho?
Mount Luho.
It's the highest point on the island. You get these insane panoramic views. You'll see those hidden coves, everything.
So trading beach views for mountain views, not a bad swap. What else is there to see beyond the beaches?
If you're a nature lover, the Boracay Butterfly Garden is this hidden gem. All these colorful butterflies, lush greenery, super peaceful.
Sounds like a nice break from all the beach action.
Right. And you can't forget about Willie's Rock.
Willie's Rock. Now, that one I've heard of, the rock formation with the statue of Mary on top, right?
That's the one. It's iconic for a reason, super picturesque and steeped in local legend.
Okay, so we've got beaches, transportation, food, even some off-the-beaten-path adventures covered. But with all these tourists coming and going, what about the environment? Is Boracay doing anything to protect itself?
They are, actually. Back in 2018, they did this huge rehabilitation project to improve things.
Oh, I actually remember hearing about that. What kind of things did they do?
Well, one big change is a total ban on single-use plastics. So, gotta pack those reusable bags and water bottles.
That's awesome. Glad to hear they're taking it seriously. It sounds like Boracay is really trying to find that balance between being a tourist hotspot and preserving what makes it special.
Exactly. It's a work in progress, for sure, but they're making a real effort.
Now, I can't let you go without talking about one of the biggest reasons people visit Boracay, the water sports.
Oh yeah, Boracay is a water sport paradise.
Give us the rundown. What are the must-dos?
Snorkeling and diving are definitely at the top of the list. The coral reefs are incredible. So much colorful marine life to see.
The water's got to be pretty clear for that, right?
Yeah. Crystal clear. I mean, the visibility is amazing whether you're a beginner or a pro.
Sounds amazing, but I'm not much of a diver myself.
Yeah.
What about for people like me?
Well, you could try island hopping to nearby spots like Crystal Cove and Tambasan Island. They've got these pristine beaches, hidden lagoons, incredible rock formations, all just a short boat ride away.
Ooh, island hopping sounds fun.
And if you're feeling adventurous, there's always parasailing.
Now that's an activity I can get behind. Soaring above the water, checking out those views, sign me up. Anything else unique to Boracay? Something you can't really do anywhere else.
You know, Boracay is actually world famous for its kiteboarding.
Kiteboarding, really?
Yeah, the wind conditions there are perfect, so you'll see these colorful kites just dancing across the sky.
I've always wanted to try. That looks so graceful. All right, we've covered our daytime adventures, but now let's talk about Boracay after dark. What's the nightlife like?
The nightlife is just as diverse as the beaches, honestly. White Beach is divided into these sections called stations, and each one has a different vibe.
Interesting. Okay, tell me more about these stations.
So Station 1 is known for its upscale bars and lounges. Think fire dancers, live music, a more sophisticated atmosphere.
Ooh, sophisticated. I can dig it. What about the other stations?
Then you've got Station 2 that's the heart of the party scene. Clubs like Epic and Coco Mangas are pumping music late into the night.
Now you're talking my language. What about Station 3?
Station 3 is more laid back with beachfront bars and live music. It's a great place to relax, chat with friends, and enjoy the ocean breeze.
So no matter what kind of night you're looking for, Boracay has got you covered. Now, before we wrap up, we have to talk about the most important thing, the food. We touched on how affordable it is, but give us some specific must-try dishes that our listeners might not know about.
Aside from the fresh seafood, you absolutely can't miss trying adobo.
Okay, adobo, tell me more.
It's a classic Filipino dish, kind of like a stew, with meat or seafood braised in vinegar, soy sauce, and garlic. Seriously flavorful.
My mouth is watering already. What about something sweet and unique to the Philippines?
For that, you gotta try ube halaya.
Ube halaya, what's that?
It's a purple yam jam. It's bright purple, sweet, creamy, and you won't find it just anywhere.
Okay, ube halaya is officially going on my list. So, wow, we've covered a lot of ground already. Beaches, transportation, food, those hidden gems. But this is just the beginning of our Boracay deep dive.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into life on Boracay. Ready to uncover even more island secrets.
Absolutely. Last time we were talking about all that amazing food. I'm still thinking about that purple yam jam.
The ube halaya, right. Can't go wrong with that. But before we get too hungry, let's talk about something super important for anyone thinking about moving to Boracay, the local customs.
Yeah, good point. You don't want to show up somewhere new and accidentally offend people. So, what are some things our listeners should know?
Well, first off, you're going to be blown away by how friendly and welcoming the Filipino people are. Like, just a simple magandang araw po, which means good day in Tagalog, can go a long way.
It's amazing how a few words in the local language can make such a difference. What other customs should people keep in mind?
Respect for elders is huge in Filipino culture. So you'll notice people using po and opo when talking to someone older. It's a really beautiful way of showing respect.
I love that. What else?
Oh, and you'll experience this amazing concept called bayanihan, which is all about community and helping each other out. Like, you'll see neighbors lending a hand, strangers offering help with a smile. It's really special.
Bayanihan. I've never heard of that, but it sounds like a fantastic concept. It makes me think about safety, too. What's the overall vibe like in Boracay? Are there any areas or situations that visitors should be careful about?
Overall, Boracay is considered a pretty safe place, especially after those big improvements they made in 2018. But of course, like anywhere else, you got to use common sense, right?
Better safe than sorry.
Exactly. So just be aware of your surroundings, especially at night. Avoid walking alone in dark areas, and while the locals are super friendly, always keep an eye on your belongings, especially in crowded spots.
Good reminders. Now, let's switch gears and talk about more fun stuff. We've covered the beaches, the water sports, but what about other activities? Is there more to Boracay than just sun and sand?
You bet. Remember we talked about the Fairways and Blue Water Resort?
Yeah, the fancy one.
Well, they actually have a world-class golf course. 18 holes, incredible ocean views. It's a hidden gem for golfers.
A golf course in Boracay. Never would have guessed. What about for people who are looking for something a little more relaxing?
Oh, Boracay is full of spas and wellness centers. You can get traditional Filipino massages, beauty treatments, pamper yourself while listening to the ocean waves.
It sounds like heaven. But let's be real for a second. All this sounds amazing, but how much does it actually cost to live in Boracay? We talked about the affordable food, but what about overall monthly expenses?
Yeah, that's the big question. It really depends on your lifestyle, but you could comfortably live in Boracay for around $1,000 to $1,500 a month.
Wow, that's not bad at all.
Uh,
What are the main expenses people should factor in?
Rent is probably the biggest one. For a basic studio apartment in a central location, you're looking at about $300 to $500 per month.
Okay, that's reasonable. What about utilities?
Things like electricity, water, internet, that'll probably be another $100 to $150 per month.
All right, and then food.
If you shop at the local markets and cook at home, you could easily budget around $300 to $400 per month for food. And remember, eating out can be super affordable too.
So for under $1,000 a month, you've got your rent, utilities, and food covered.
Yep. And of course, if you want a more luxurious lifestyle with a bigger place, fancy restaurants, and spa days, it'll cost more. But compared to other tropical destinations, Boracay is a pretty great deal.
I'm starting to see why so many people fall in love with this place. We've talked a lot about the practical stuff, but I'm curious about the social scene. Is it easy for newcomers, especially people from different cultures, to fit in and make friends?
Absolutely. Filipinos are known for being incredibly open and welcoming to everyone. Plus, there's a really vibrant expat community in Boracay people who've made the island their home.
So it's not just a tourist bubble.
Not at all. There are tons of ways to connect with people. You can join yoga classes, go to local festivals, or just strike up a conversation at a beachfront bar.
It sounds like a real community. Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I have to ask, what's your favorite thing about Boracay? What makes it so special to you?
That's tough. There's just this unique magic about the place. I think it's the perfect mix of natural beauty, vibrant culture, and that laid-back island vibe. Like you can wake up to the sound of the ocean, explore hidden beaches, eat delicious food, and just connect with amazing people from all over the world.
I can definitely see the appeal. It sounds like the perfect escape from the everyday grind. Well, we're going to take a quick break here, but make sure to join us for the final part of our Boracay deep dive, where we'll wrap up with some essential tips and help our listeners decide if this island paradise is the right fit for them. Welcome back to our Boracay adventure. We've covered pretty much everything from beaches to nightlife, but before you book that flight, there are a few practical things we got to talk about.
Right. Getting swept up in the excitement is easy, but it's important to think about the nitty-gritty of actually living on Boracay.
Okay, so what kind of things should our listeners be thinking about before packing their bags?
Healthcare's a big one. Boracay has clinics and a small hospital for everyday stuff, but if you need more specialized care, you might have to head to a bigger city like Manila.
That makes sense. So it's best to do your research and make sure you've got good insurance.
All right. Exactly. Another thing to figure out is visas. Depending on where you're from, you'll need to look into the requirements for living and working in the Philippines. Some countries can visit for tourism without a visa, but for a long-term stay, you'll need the right paperwork.
Visas, check. Yeah. Now, this is a question I bet a lot of people have. What about work? Is it even possible to find a job in Boracay? Or is it all about tourism?
Tourism is definitely a big part of the economy, but it's not the only option. There are opportunities in real estate, hospitality, even online businesses.
So there's a chance to build a real life there, not just work in tourism.
Definitely. A lot of expats have found success in those areas, drawn by the lifestyle and that entrepreneurial energy.
Now let's go back to something we touched on earlier, fitting in. We know Filipinos are super welcoming, but are there any cultural things our listeners should know about to make those social interactions smoother?
One thing that might surprise people is how important family is in Filipino culture. Families are really close, and it's normal to see extended families living together or really close by.
So that strong family bond kind of extends to the whole community, right?
Yeah, it creates this really supportive and connected social fabric.
Sounds like an amazing environment.
Mm.
Okay, before we wrap up our Boracay deep dive, I've got to ask, what's your absolute favorite thing about Boracay? What makes it stand out from all the other amazing islands out there?
Honestly, it's that feeling of freedom. It's like every day is a new adventure, whether you're discovering a hidden beach, trying a new dish, or just watching the sunset with new friends.
Sounds pretty magical.
Mm.
Well, I think we've given everyone a pretty good idea of what life on Boracay is all about. We've covered the practical stuff, the culture, all those amazing activities.
And remember, this is just the beginning. There's so much more to discover.
So go do your research, connect with people who've already made the move, and most importantly, start planning that trip. Who knows, maybe we'll bump into you on White Beach someday, sipping on some Halo Halo and sharing stories. Until then, happy travels, everyone.